Welcome into NHL Tonight. First shift for Thursday, November the 21st, 2024. And it's a special day because we got another first shifter with us today. The great Dave Reed, two-time Stanley Cup winner. Dave, thanks. You're in the barrel now, baby.
I like this setup because there's only two seats and I can't get benched. So there's no way to slide me down or over one way or the other. It's like you have to come to me each.
All right, real quick. What do you remember? First thing that comes to mind, your first shift in the NHL.
Don't really remember it.
There you go.
I remember the game.
Okay.
It was in Boston, the old Boston Garden against Minnesota.
Okay.
We didn't do so well. I remember the game thinking,
Okay.
Whoa, what am I doing?
All right.
I was 19 years old, and I was like,
Wow.
oh, my gosh.
Big deal, right?
Oh, it was a really big deal.
Yeah,
It
nice,
was pretty scary.
nice.
Don't remember my first shift, but I do remember the first
Hey,
game.
listen, it worked out well for you. You got through
Yes.
it, and you
Yes,
went on
I
to play almost 1,000 games. You won 2 cups.
Okay, well, I'm not doing
you
1,000
did good.
shows here, okay? I'm not doing 961 shows. I'll be happy to get through the first one with you.
All right, well, let's welcome in Stanford, our producer for today's show. Stanford, how you doing, buddy?
How are we doing, gentlemen? And a very welcome aboard here, Dave Reed.
There you go.
Thanks,
Pleasure and an
Stanford.
honor to have you here.
There it
Oh,
is. There it is.
thank you.
Where can the viewers and the listeners get this show if they're not watching it right here on NHL Network? Please fill us in.
Best option, you can check it out on our podcast here on YouTube. That's one of my favorite things to do in the evening. Go home, listen to it once again, audio only, the full show, all of our great interviews. And just as a little teaser today, we will be speaking with the great John Walton. Talks about his battle with cancer and everything going on with the Washington Capitals. But really, it should be an inspirational chat. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. And the Caps have been a great story this year, and John he's been doing well, so I'm looking forward to catching up with him. Had a really difficult summer with a lot of different things going on and health-wise in his life, but seems to be on the right track now, so looking forward to that. And again, check us out, NHL Network YouTube page, and subscribe. Why not subscribe, is what I say. All right, let's get to first things first, and how about your former team, the Toronto Maple Leafs? They're missing Matthews, they're missing Domi, Camp, Pacioretty. Yarncroc hasn't even played yet. And look at this. They just keep rolling around. They're 6-1 without Matthews. They blank the Vegas Golden Knights. The young kid, Fraser Minten, second-round pick in 2022. First NHL goal. Leafs rolling along. Joe Wall with a shutout.
This was a remarkable game. And they've still got Mitch Marner, who's a pretty darn good player.
Yeah, and
you still got
Nylander.
William Nylander, who's a pretty darn good player. Oliver Ekman-Larsson in the back end.
John Tavares playing great.
Well. And you've got Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
Like, this is a group that's still got plenty of talent. Very interesting at home. Very physical game.
Yeah.
Something that the Leafs haven't been known for the last few years. Something that Craig Berube, as the new head coach, is really trying to instill that a pushback type of game from the Leafs. And this was a gut check for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They needed something. And Fraser Minten had a great camp when he was drafted 2 years ago. This year he got injured in camp. Last year he played 4 games.
4 games.
He was allowed to come up play.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, this young man, as an 18-year-old, could make the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, and got injured.
Yeah.
Didn't get a good start off this year with the Leafs, but got the call when needed and got a beautiful goal. Nice setup by
Smart coming off the bench.
He's
found his
he's an
spot.
offensive player,
Yeah.
and that's what the Leafs needed. When you've got all these offensive players out, especially Matthews, you need someone to step in, and that was an inspirational game, I think, for the fans as well, being in Toronto, because they're looking for this team to step up, go to the next level. And the next level for the Leafs is getting involved physically and not returning the push, but it's starting the push. And the Leafs were doing that on a consistent basis against Vegas, who's a very big and very physical team. So in all, a very good win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I wouldn't want to be Ottawa.
Yeah.
Because Vegas has got to go.
Vegas is coming there next.
Coming there tonight, so it's
listen,
not going to be friendly.
I wanted to bring up, too, because they had another young kid in the lineup, a Russian young kid, Nikita Grabenkin, and just 21 years of age, 5th-round pick in 2022. First year here in North America, played with the Marlies. He's actually done good with the Marlies, 10 points in 13 games, 6'2", 210. He got in there in physical. After the game last night, again, coming to a new culture, doesn't speak English that well, but he stole the show afterwards. Play the clip.
Team speak me back check, for check, and pay check.
Oh, boy. I love that. I mean, first of all, give the kid credit to stand in front of all those microphones, right? you're trying to kind of manage learning the English language, and but you can see he's got a lot of jam to him and a lot of personality.
Yeah.
And what was it? Forecheck, backcheck, paycheck. I think you said the same thing after your first game.
You know what? That's a line that you're told pretty much when you get in the National Hockey League. It's like keep it simple, kid. It's like forecheck, paycheck, or forecheck, backcheck, paycheck, and away you go. And especially with the language barrier, let's not get too complicated here. This is what our game is. You're 6'2", you're 210 pounds, you're a big body, you've got tremendous speed. Get in hard, get back hard. And it's pretty much earn your keep during the game. And that's exactly what he did. I thought he played fantastic for the Leafs. He's an energy guy, and I'm sure the Leafs will be putting his jersey up in the stores, because after comments like that, it was a huge hit. Everybody on Twitter, everywhere, everybody's this is tremendous.
He had
for the personality. It's great to see the personality from any National Hockey League player. Not a lot of guys laugh like that after
you know what? I'm going to put the pressure on Sanford right now. Let me hear that one more time. Can we cue that up one more time? I want to hear it again because it was awesome. All right, let's get it. I think we're going to get it. Here we go.
Team speak me back check, forecheck, and paycheck.
Oh, I love the laugh.
Oh,
that's great.
It looked like Bobby Clark there with those no teeth from 50 years ago.
Nikita Grabenkin.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. There's jersey. I'm sure we'll see one in Toronto sooner than later. But that's you just love the energy. Young players. That's the idea of teams. Every team's they're an older team. They need some youth. They need some energy. They need some of that young kind of foolishness. And when you look at that, it was a great laugh. He's obviously having a blast. He's just first game of the National Hockey League.
Happy to be there, right?
Happy to be there, but not only happy to be there, he was an important part of that win. He's a big guy and he can skate.
Yeah.
You're 210 pounds and you can skate and you're ready to hit players and get physical. You're gonna have a lot of success in 32 rinks in the league, because that's what the fans love to see. Someone to go out there, give it all they've got, and just enjoy. Show that you're enjoying being.
Yeah, it's great. Listen, when you're winning, everybody, and you have those kind of moments, that's what you love about team sports. And for the Leafs, they're sitting in first place in the Atlantic Division. Now, they're a point ahead of Florida. Florida has a game in hand. But, hey, it's always nice to be sitting right at the top of the standings. And they are sitting there for sure in the Atlantic Division. As for the Metropolitan Division, the Carolina Hurricanes are sitting at the top of that division, and they had a nice win over the Philadelphia Flyers last night. Picked it up in the third period. It was 1-1 going into the third. And then bing, bang, boom. It was 4-1, and they get another victory.
They're a quick strike team. They started that game on fire. They dominated.
30 seconds in, they
dominated
scored.
the first minute and a half, and they scored early. And if you let up at all, that's the thing with Carolina. They score on you. Philly lets up a little bit. Boom! Within a minute, they come right back and get another one. And they play a simple game. They work hard. They use everybody, all 18 skaters. You don't like to use two goalies in a game, but if they do, normally it's just one. They get the puck, they create turnovers by their speed, they get bodies in front of the net. You see half of their goals, or probably more than half of their goals, they've got someone in front of the net creating havoc. Their low to high plays are tremendous. Here's another goal. You've got bodies in front. And when you put a body in front, chances are you're drawing, because man-on-man coverage, you're drawing another player from the opposition. And when you do that, you're going to have success of taking the goaltender's eyes away. And they are just so good at outworking, out-hustling teams. And, last year, when Philly had the great start, and you keep dropping back in the last year because they were so good and so unexpected, they played like Carolina. They really pushed the pace of the game. Last night, Philly couldn't keep up for a short time in the third, and Carolina just took over the game. Very impressive. Jack Roslovic got his 10th.
Yeah.
He had 9 last year.
Been a good fit.
He had 9 in just under 60 games. And that's just typical Carolina. It's plug and play. Next player up, this is how we play. Get out there, do your thing, work hard, be responsible, and let the game go. And that was a nice one. Carolina, and I really didn't. I thought Carolina was going to take a step back this year. I really didn't expect them to come out.
Most people did, Dave. Really,
so strong.
Because they were missing some pieces.
Absolutely.
And we didn't know what to expect. And they've gotten off to a great start. Now, they got some bad news today.
Yes. Because
Freddie Anderson going to have knee surgery, going to be out. Here it is here, undergo surgery. He's going to be out 8 to 12 weeks. So that's a big hit. Now, Freddie has had a lot of injury issues, unfortunately, in his career. I think at this stage of things, you know what you're getting into with Freddie, and unfortunately, he's going to miss a lot of time. Hopefully, he'll get through that period of time and come back later in the season and maybe be a helpful player for them. But that's a lot to miss. And then to get recovered and back playing in the NHL, it's going to fall on Kochetkov. The Canes, tough turnaround tonight. They're in New Jersey against the Devils. That should be a really entertaining game. But a lot falling on Kochetkov now because Spencer Martin is the number 3. He's been okay for them. And with that team, the way they play, like to your point, they take care of their goalie with the way they play when they're playing at their best. But still, you're starting to get into that depth now.
Yeah, and I think they're okay with Pyotr Kochetkov. He was expected to kind of transition to be the number. He was the guy pushing Frederik Andersen.
Yeah.
When Freddie Andersen had some injuries, Kochetkov was the guy that was like, you're our guy. You're our goaltender of the future. So I think that transition is going to be fine. And it's tough for a player like Freddie Andersen, an older goaltender who's seen a lot of games, to have the knee surgery, be out that long, to be able to come back. I mean, this is going to be difficult. So if you're Carolina, and you've seen it in many teams. You talk about the Leafs with Matthews out. There's a lot of great players who get injured throughout the course of the season.
That's right.
But when it's your goaltender, and I've said for years, the most important player in your team is your goaltender. You have to have depth in all positions. Not every team has 2 or maybe even 3 goalies.
Yeah.
Carolina has 2 solid goaltenders. Kochetkov is a very good goaltender, and he is going to get the majority of the work now with Freddie being out.
Yeah, and Spencer Martin will get some chances as well. He had some experience playing in Vancouver and some other spots, so we'll see how it goes for Spencer. Got to get to the Boston Bruins tonight because they made the coaching change. It was big news the other day. Montgomery out. Joe Sacco takes over as the head coach. They got the Utah Hockey Club tonight. What are you expecting from the Boston Bruins? I mean, I don't know during your career if you were involved. Well, there must have been a coaching change along the way for you. How do teams respond when that happens?
Yeah, we had a coaching change. My first year, they fired Jerry Cheevers.
Well, there you go.
It was my first year. I was halfway through it. And I've been involved in a few coaching changes. And the players, and from there, you listen to the players speak, and the leadership group in Boston, and they have to take responsibility. And they have taken responsibility in their comments.
Yeah.
And now it's time to turn that energy onto the ice. This team hasn't been playing with the amount of energy that we've seen the Bruins in the past.
No, they have not.
They are a strong defensive team. Their power play is usually very strong. It's terrible this
Last
year.
in the league this year.
You've got Pasternak. Is he still battling the injury from the World Championship when they won gold with Czechia? Yeah. Is that been bothering him? Jeremy Swayman, is it bothering him that he didn't have training camp, or is it bothering him more that he is the number 1 guy now and there's no Linus Ullmark to kind of fall back and have that one-on-one? You could look at Ullmark and say the same thing in Ottawa. Their stats are very similar.
I know. It's so strange. Both those guys so great together. And now they're separated. I mean, they had the goalie hugs. They really... And
what's going on?
I guess it's different circumstances, different season, and they're trying to figure it out.
But this is a team that had 4 or 5 players overachieve, have career years.
Oh yeah,
last
no
year.
question.
You can't expect those players to have another career year.
Yeah.
You expect those players to have to elevate as well and to play well. But all from everything I've heard and not being in the locker room is that this team is not playing with the energy. And Don Sweeney talked about it. It was the start of training camp. It wasn't there at the start of training camp. And is that on the players? Is it on the coach? I mean, you saw Jim Montgomery yelling and screaming at his captain, benching David Pasternak, and that's what you call in the game pushing buttons.
Yeah.
He's trying to push players' buttons to elevate the energy. Sometimes you'll yell at a leader in your leadership group, or you'll be, really hard on a guy, and the message isn't necessarily to that player. The message is to everybody else. Yeah. Hey guys, listen up. This is what I'm telling your captain and your leader, and you should be thinking, yeah, okay, he's actually yelling at me because I'm not playing the way I should be playing. And the Bruins have got to find that energy. Joe Sacco's got a big task ahead of him. He's got to find the energy. He's got to raise the energy level of this team, and he's got to get players to play with more commitment to the Boston Bruins style of play. Defense first. They've got to find ways from their special teams. I think it's going to be a difficult task.
Yeah.
And Utah is not a team you really want to come in and play. They can score a lot of goals, and the Bruins have given up a lot of goals.
They can play with speed. They got some snipers.
Yes, and that's something that Boston hasn't done this year.
Yeah,
so this is going to be a challenge. But I expect the Bruins, the leadership group, to lead the way in this game.
All right, we will see.
Yeah.
But tough task. The good news is the schedule for them is favorable moving forward. If they can get their own act together, it starts tonight against the Utah Hockey Club up there in Boston. When we come back, it is that time of the week. Dan Rosen drops by with his Super 16. We'll find out just how super it is when we come back on First Shift. It is that time for the Super 16 presented by Enterprise, and that means our friend Dan Rosen from NHL.com. He is just down the road at the Prudential Center awaiting the Devils and the Hurricanes tonight. Dan, thanks for the time today, and let's just get right to it. Let's just get right to it. What do you got to start your Super 16 this week?
Well, you'll see both of the teams I'm going to see tonight in it, but not here. Look, 4 Pacific Division teams. Wow. You got the Vancouver Canucks hanging in. They've lost a couple in a row. They've lost 3 or 4, 4 or 6. But honestly, I don't know who else I'm going to put in right now. So they're in at 16. The Kings also struggling a little bit. Lost 1-0 at Buffalo. They've lost 3 of 4 as well. They drop a little bit. The Flames get back in. They keep getting it done, EJ. I mean, 2.58 goals per game. Rasmus Anderson leads them with 12 points. And they keep finding ways. 2-1 wins, 3-1 with an empty netter, 2-0. So they're there at 14. And the Edmonton Oilers, McDavid's back. He's red hot. And they're winning some games now. So they are in one spot up at 13.
Why don't you give Calgary a little more love and put them over the Oilers? I mean, they've won a couple of games in a row. That Dustin Wolf has been terrific. I mean, we're in the moment here. The Oilers, they had one game where they played well, one game where they didn't play as well. I mean, Montreal, I think they shut them out earlier in the week.
They did.
Why not move the Flames up, Dave? What do you think?
Go ahead, Dan.
Let's go.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say,
you're direct to your question, Dan,
were
were you?
Two-time Stanley Cup champion weigh in. You be quiet, Rosen. Flames.
Well, I hate to say this, Dan, but I got to agree with you on this one.
Calgary,
but Edmonton's relying on 2 players.
That's right.
They've got the 2 big guys. And their
Rosen.
depth of scoring, just to me, isn't there. As a team and the way that Calgary's playing, defensively they're shutting it down and they're getting it done throughout their lineup. So I would push Calgary up right now. I mean, hey, it's still, mid-November.
Yeah.
But I hate to agree with them, Dan.
I know he does.
He came to me first. I was waiting to play off of you. So.
All right.
Yeah, I think if I had a chance to say something, you'd agree with me. So, I didn't. So we'll give him
I know. That's why I wanted you to speak first.
That's why we try to button you up.
Yeah.
All right. All right. You're up. Go ahead. You got your next 4.
All right. I'm up. All right. The next 4 in there, you got the Colorado Avalanche getting some wins, 4 out of their past 5. Dallas Stars are playing much better. And they've also won 4 of their past 5. It's interesting. I didn't even realize that I had the Dallas Stars at 8 last week, and I dropped them, but they're playing better. Okay. That's on me. That's on me.
It is on you.
You know what? I gotta say that's on me.
Darn right, it's on you.
And I think it's because some other teams are playing better, to be honest with you, than I thought they would be. Tampa Bay wasn't in last week. They win 3 in a row. Now you're going to look at Tampa Bay and you're going to say, well, they beat the Devils.
Yeah.
How are they right? Well, I'm going to rank the wins the Devils had in Florida ahead over the loss of Tampa Bay. They go into Florida and they win 2 in a row. So the Devils stay ahead of the Lightning, even though the Devils do drop a little bit and probably too much. Now that I should really look back at my week rankings last week before I do this, because this is a little bit of a mess on my part.
This poor guy is all fouled up. He's all fouled up.
I'm going to say this. I'll rip myself this week for that little mess up. You don't have to say a word, okay? There it is. Yeah, there it is. You don't have to say anything.
Listen, I think you said it all right there. I mean, let's move on. Let's move on to the next 4. I mean, you've already screwed up. You've already screwed up the top 8. Let's get to the next 8.
Screwed it up.
Right.
Oh man! But I think I have this right.
Okay,
I do. All right. The Vegas Golden Knights, I get it. They lost to Toronto. They lost to Washington. They are a top 8 team in this league. Okay. And they dropped a little bit, but they're a top 8 team. Toronto's playing much better.
Hold on a minute. I thought we had you on the right track with the way this works here, is that we're in the moment, right? Like where they're at, in the moment, because we can all say, oh, the Vegas Golden Knights are a top 8 team. But they just lost 2 in a row. It's been a little bit of a struggle of late.
Teams, the top 8 teams.
So in other words, for you, you're never putting Vegas out of the top 8, is what you're saying right now.
No, that's definitely not what I'm saying. I think they've been out of the top 8, but they lost the 2 games that I'm talking about are teams that are ranked ahead of them. Okay. So are those bad losses? They're ranked ahead of them. They've been better, right? So I don't know that those are bad losses.
But you got you treated Calgary poorly, the Flames. You could have them up here. They could be up here.
Game. They could be, but they're not scoring enough.
But they're not giving up any goals. Look, I got Mr. Defensive Forward right here with me. He knows the value of defense.
Again, I could just rank the standings, but I'm not doing that.
Anaheim's won 3 straight. Where are they?
4 or 5.
There's a reason.
4 or 5.
And there's a reason they're not in the top 16
They should be in
here.
16.
There's a reason. Well, I shouldn't say they're not in the top because you still haven't shown us.
That's right.
The top
Maybe he's
4.
got them at number 2.
But
we don't know.
I kind of got to agree with Dan on this one.
Really?
There are parts of a game that are that come and go.
Okay.
It's not just about wins and losses. It's how you're winning and losing.
All right. I liked you more when you were agreeing with me.
I agree. I think Vegas is that good. I agree.
I think we all agree. We love Vegas.
Yeah.
They're a good team.
Yes.
They could easily win the Cup again this year. They have that kind of team. But
this week,
shut
Anaheim should
out
be in there then.
Shut out by Toronto last night, a Leafs team that's missing all kinds of players.
Yeah, Leafs team that's 6-1 in the
They
last
are.
7.
That's why you have. All right, let's go back. All right, back on track. Go ahead.
So they're number 7, a big jump for them. The New York Rangers move up. They've won 3 in a row. They look like they seem to have found themselves again. 2 wins so far on their 4-game Western Canada / Seattle trip. And then the Minnesota Wild, I mean, look, 4-1-1 in their past 6, and they drop a spot. You'll see in the top 4 why they drop a spot. It's not much of a drop for the Wild. Look, I think they're a very good team. And Philip Gustafson deserves a ton of credit. Kirill Kaprizov's having a Hart Trophy year. They're a top 5 team. They dropped 1 spot, the Wild. Beat St. Louis. They lost to Dallas.
All right, so let's get to your top 4 then, because we're gonna apparently understand why you're in this situation. Okay.
So this was a really hard top 4 ranking right now. All right, so the Florida Panthers, they lose 2 to the New Jersey Devils. But the Panthers are one of the best teams in the league, and it kind of goes with the power of it, right? We understand, all right, maybe they lose 2 in a row, but they're that good, so they're still in my top 4. And I don't think, and then they go beat Winnipeg, the only team that's done that, right? Other than Toronto. And then they lose to Winnipeg, but they did beat Winnipeg.
Well, Tampa Bay, I might add, beat Winnipeg, just in case it slipped your mind when you were downgrading the Lightning earlier. But
correct. The Lightning, by the way, were not ranked last week. They're 10 this week. So
they should
downgrading them.
That's a good win, though. That's a good win.
It's a very good win.
Yeah.
This is another one of EJ. Dave, you'll realize this is EJ's strategies.
Well,
there's 8 teams for the top 8, but he wants to rank 12.
Let me just get this straight though about your logic here.
Yeah.
The Lightning beat the Devils, and they beat the Winnipeg Jets.
Correct.
The Jets, you just said, almost nobody beats the Jets, and they beat the Devils, and yet you weren't comfortable moving the Lightning up further than you did.
Well, they were not ranked at all last week because
that's your fault. That's not our fault.
They had won.
You're the one who only a few minutes ago said here on our air, I messed it up.
I did, with the Devils more than anything. All right, not with the Lightning, and with the Dallas Stars. Not with the Lightning.
All right.
Anyway.
All right. But the first one, go back again to your list here, because Winnipeg, right, they had a little bit. It's been an easy run. It's been an easy run lately with Winnipeg, but now they've lost a couple.
Yeah. So it was a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But I kept them there because of the balance of their first quarter has just been outstanding. And I know they lose. They go to Florida. It's not easy to win in Florida or those 2 games. And they were. To me, it was just the odds. They were just bound to lose one of those 2. They lose them both. They come back and they beat Florida. So they stay at 1. Carolina's been playing outstanding, and it could have easily been 1. And it was that close for me. And Washington, we'll see where they are a week from now, 2 weeks from now, because obviously without Alex Ovechkin, that's a huge loss for them. But you can't argue the Washington Capitals might have been, and Ovechkin to this point might be the best story in the league. Because nobody saw this coming.
I'll make this proposition to you, David.
Best story in the league.
I'll make this proposition to you.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Well,
this week.
That's right. It's like,
I would.
I almost could have had them at number 1.
I'd almost put Washington number 1
because
they
go out.
That West Coast
Vegas,
trip.
Colorado, win.
They win. Yeah, and they shut McKinnon down.
I think the door was open.
Yeah, this could be their only week
for the Washington Capitals to be number 1 this week, and you shut the
door
on them.
You're looking at the small things. They blew the lead against Toronto.
They did, but
Think
Winnipeg,
so.
Winnipeg lost in the state of Florida.
That's right, twice.
They lost them both. And
Twice.
then they came back. They got 2 empty net shorthanders to make it, what, a 6-3 game and, back home.
TJ, you missed your line there. I said they blew the lead against Toronto, and then you're supposed to say, well, why didn't they have Toronto ranked? Why did you have Toronto ranked ahead
That's a
of
good
Washington?
point. I missed that.
No, you're right.
I hit that one.
You know what, next time, why don't you
out.
come and host the show? You should probably come
He's
and host
been in.
it. We could maybe go to
I've done
EJ.
it.
We go to EJ at the Peru or, at
He never
MSG
wants
or
to
something
do the
like that.
Super 16.
Hey, it is. I'll tell you
Anyhow,
what.
the top three though, you could mix and match.
Yeah, I agree.
Any of those. I mean, they're all that good. But I love the way the Caps are playing right now. We're going to be see how without Ovi, but I love the way the Caps are playing. They are a difficult team to play.
Yeah, and I think I might have still tried to figure out Minnesota in that top 4 somewhere. But that's a discussion for another time. We're running out of time here.
All right.
Dan, thank you so much for the time. We will hear about the Washington Capitals coming up because we have their play-by-play voice, John Walton, joining us. John's been through a battle dealing with cancer, back in the booth, and he's had a great story to tell this year with the Caps. John Walton, next on First Shift.
Super 16 is presented by Enterprise. We're here to keep you moving forward, whether it's around the corner or around the world. Official partner of the NHL.
It is Hockey Fights Cancer Night in D.C., and you can see 6 members of the Washington Capitals, including Alex Ovechkin, with signs of who they are fighting for, and they're all fighting for one of their own. The radio play-by-play voice of the Washington Capitals, John Walton, who takes the time to join us now. John, thanks for the time today. I think most of the viewers know you've been going through a battle. You were diagnosed with stage 1 colon cancer back over the summer. You've gone through some surgeries, some battles, but you haven't missed a beat in terms of the games. How are you feeling? How are things going? It must have been a whirlwind over these last several months as you're dealing with some, shocking news that you get personally about your own health.
Yeah, it's been a lot, and thanks for having me, guys. I mean, it's been really since the end of July where I thought I was going in for what was routine. I'm going to be in and out of here in an hour. This is going to be fine. And then suddenly it was anything but fine and scheduled for surgery, and then complications that came after that. I had compartment syndrome in my leg, which was a result of just some freak circumstances that happened during the original surgery. So there were 3 more after that. And I ended up spending 9 days in the hospital. So, yeah, I mean, my goal was from the beginning, I wanted to be back for training camp. I wanted to be back around the guys. I wanted to be back around my Capitals and Monumental Sports teammates. And I was able to do that. It has been a little bit of a struggle, getting up and down on planes and stuff. I've been limping around a little bit, but I'm getting better every day. My strength's getting a little better every day. And I can't tell you, the coaches, the players, the staff of this team have been just tremendous. And, it's funny. We always want attention and things like, for calls and things that we do and professionally. But, this is one I'm a little less comfortable with. And here at the arena tonight, I know there's going to be a few things involving me that if it gets the message out and it saves even one life, then I'm certainly good with it.
Well, John, that said, the NHL does such a fantastic job with Hockey Fights Cancer, and it's always been November where it kicks off, but really it's a year-round thing now. What is the message from your experience that you want to let people know?
Yeah, Dave, I mean, really the biggest thing is that, you cannot feel a thing like me. I didn't think there was a thing wrong with me. I felt like I was in pretty good shape. I go to the doctor every year. I didn't think there was, if something's wrong, I'll find out. And I did, but I didn't think it was going to happen like this. Getting screened for colon cancer, if you're over the age of 45, do it. If you have a history in your family, do it sooner. And I've learned a lot in the last few weeks and few months. There's going to be a video the Capitals are putting out on social. It's going to be on in the building here tonight, where I actually sit down with my doctor that performed the surgery, and she's an amazing woman, and she's been, along with being a terrific surgeon, she's been a real advocate here in Washington and coming to the game tonight and going on with our game night people and, helping to get the word out. I mean, we've got 18,000 people here tonight who could be affected, right? And to be able to share my story, and they know me from the team, but they also say, well, listen, if it can happen to him, it could happen to me. And I hope that because of the telling of the story, I'm hoping that they will go and actually get screened too.
John, you know, our buddy Eddie Olczyk, he's a cancer survivor. I believe he had stage 3 colon cancer, and he battled through that. And he's told his inspirational story a number of times. He gave you a shout-out last night as TNT on their broadcast was celebrating their Hockey Fight Cancer Night. What was it like for you to hear from so many people in the hockey community? Because I imagine that gave you some strength, you know, in a time when for you and your family there was a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, I'm going to try to not be too emotional about that. And you mentioned Edzo. I think within an hour of when I had announced it on social back in October, or back in August, excuse me, I heard from Edzo in an hour. His son, Nick, who, of course, works with Utah now. So many people. I don't think there's a team in this league that I didn't hear from either a broadcaster or someone in the media that, you know, was so supportive. And Edzo, you know, I think everybody realizes in our business how good a person he is. And I think in the video and what he said on the broadcast last night, you know, illustrated a little more about his fight that even I didn't know. But I knew that it was going to be something that mentally was tough. I mean, the first few days, you don't know how bad it is. And you don't know what you're going to be facing, and you don't know that there's going to be complications like I had. My road was a little different than his. It wasn't as serious from a cancer standpoint, but the complications were significant. That he's just a wonderful man, and he is so, what he says, he actually undersells what he feels and what he does for others. And, you know, the hockey beats cancer that he says, one of those days we're going to do that. And I think we all kind of have an obligation now for having gone through this to be able to be there for the people around us who end up in a fight that they wish they weren't. And, you know, we learn from our experiences, and then we try and help those who may be going through it later. So I think that's, you know, Edzo's the best at it. I'm just kind of riding his coattails on that. But so many people that have said so many things that have been, you know, when you're sitting in a hospital room and you're looking up at a ceiling for 9 days, I can't tell you what it meant to me. It kept me going. It absolutely did. And I'm grateful for each and every one. Hockey is a special, special group of people. And boy, did I find that out, you know, when I needed it the most.
Well, John, interesting. You said that, you know, everybody in the hockey world, it's such a close-knit group and everybody helps each other out. And what Edzo did for you, you've got a young gal coming in from Alberta before the game, and she's actually in Washington on a Make-A-Wish Foundation. Kaylin Anderson has come in all the way from Alberta, way up in Western Canada, and she's come down with TJ Oshie as her favorite player. She's a huge Caps fan. Tell us a little bit about Kaylin. She came down and she got to put the pads on and have a little bit of a shootout with the guys. So, I mean, this is a tremendous, tremendous story about a young gal at 16 years old and 15 years old diagnosed with cancer, and she's battling it along with everybody. So it affects everybody. This is a tremendous story.
It really is, and watching her come out, and you know, TJ was so great in introducing her to the group and brought her on the ice, and you know, being able to take shots, and then the big media scrum that was in the room afterwards, which was just wonderful. And you know, the smile didn't leave her face the whole time she was there. And I think, you know, our guys and every other team in this league, I think, would do something similar, and you know, they do it because they know that they're doing good. And I think to be able, that's a day that you can't even, you know, $1 billion doesn't replace those kind of memories of what, you know, she was able to, you know, get by being here yesterday and being here tonight, and the ceremonial puck drop tonight, and being out in front of a sellout crowd here, a big game. And you've got, you know, the Caps are going great, and the Avalanche have a tremendous team, and you've just got this great atmosphere. And to be center stage for that, I hope that's the biggest thrill of all. But certainly yesterday, being able to be on the ice, I'm sure was a memory she'll never forget.
Yeah, it's going to be an emotional night for sure. It'll be an emotional night for you. But at the end of the day here, for, you know, the Capitals, you said, they've been a great story, right? And it's going to be a fun game tonight. And unfortunately, Alex Ovechkin out of the mix now for a while. He suffers that injury. How do you think that's going to impact this team, John? Because what a great story they've been. You see the record there, 13-4-1 to start the season, 27 points. They're scoring goals just like, you know, like they're going out of style. How do you think they get through this Ovechkin injury?
It's going to be interesting, and the weirdness of it all is what I think you're feeling now if you're anybody within the organization, because just even prepping for the game, it feels very strange to leave out number 8 on your lineup sheet. This is a very good hockey team, and I think they showed it because it wasn't just Alex. It's been Dylan Strome. It's been Connor McMichael. Pierre-Luc Dubois hasn't gotten the goals, but he's gotten the assists and has been so good in so many facets of the game. He's fit in so well here. The checking line led by Nick Dowd. Jacob Chychrun has come in and given them so much offense from the back end. This team is as good defensively as they've probably been going back to when they won the Cup. And I think although Alex is a big loss, I think it is also a team that can overcome it. We're going to see Andrew Mangiapane move up to the top line tonight and playing alongside Alexei Protas, who's another guy who's been terrific. You've got him and Dylan Strome together. Put Mangiapane on that line. The McMichael, Dubois, Wilson line has been good all year. That's, where they're going to be looking for offense. Dubois is beyond snakebit and due, and you'd like to think with the bad karma that came with the Ovechkin injury, maybe the good is going to start to fall for him. Lars Eller has been great in coming back and being in the fold again and anchoring 3C. That was really the only weaker spot where the third line really wasn't contributing a whole lot offensively. And, now that's even stabilized. And the fourth line, bringing in Brandon Duhaime and Taylor Radish alongside Nick Dowd, they've been great too. So this is a good team. I think they need to figure out, they've been scoring goals from a lot of different places. It wasn't just Alex, but Alex was leading the team. So you do have to find a little bit of offense. I can't believe this, just between last year and this year, guys. The Caps were just trying to claw out 2-1 games last year. And if they gave up 3 goals, we'll try again tomorrow. And this year has been so much different. They're one of the most exciting teams to watch, I think, in the NHL right now, even without number 8. And they got a big task. Nathan McKinnon's coming in angry. He didn't get a single shot on goal when we saw him Friday in the win at Denver. I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think it's going to happen with Cale Makar either. But the Caps defense has been very good. And I think, it just has all the earmarks of a pretty good hockey game, even with number 8 on the sidelines.
It's interesting. Pierre-Luc Dubois pretty much shut McKinnon down in Colorado with Wilson and Connor McMichael. That's a heck of a line with McMichael moving over to the wing. And I was going to ask you about Connor McMichael, but is that line going to be probably matched up against? I would expect the matchup to be the same. But how good is Connor McMichael being on the wing? He's a natural center. And to move to the wing with 2 big guys, that's been a dominant line for the Caps.
It's been dominant, and watching Connor's development over the last couple of years, winning a Calder Cup with Hershey, coming up and being here last year, and he got 18 goals, but it was a quieter 18 goals. He is much louder offensively and explosive now, and just watching what he's been able to accomplish is nothing short of sensational. And Tom Wilson got off to a really nice start, too, in terms of goals. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, it's coming. And you're right. And one of the things that Spencer Carberry has turned to quite a bit in past years, Nick Dowd has been so good and been the guy for a D-zone faceoff and in those defensive situations. And you've seen more of PLD in that role. And it's with the design of being able to not only win those draws and play sound defensive hockey in your own zone, but be able to create offense instantly with those same 3 guys on the ice. And it's been terrific. Stretch passes to free McMichael, and he's been able to, really show his offensive creativity. He's been a lot of fun to watch and grow up here, and I think he is well on his way to being a star. And with he and Alexei Protas both blooming at the same time, that's gone a long way toward this offensive resurgence where the Capitals are goals per game. They're number 1 in the league. So they do take a hit with number 8 leaving. But when you've got that line and you hope that there's a little bit more in terms of lamplighters from Pierre-Luc Dubois, and I'm sure there will be. He's gotten so many chances. You're just waiting for one to fall, and you feel like 5 or 6 could fall after that. But beyond even that line, they've gotten it for the blue line. They've gotten it for the fourth line. They've gotten from, Alexei Protas. They've got a lot of different guys. Dylan Strome leading the team in points. How it gets spread around, I don't think too much is going to change other than, just a couple of things for right now. And everything Spencer Carberry's done is kind of turned to gold at this point. So hopefully the same continues now.
Yeah, 59 5-on-5 goals for the Caps. They lead the league. That's 11 more than the Vegas Golden Knights, who are second. So they are putting up the numbers on the board. It's good for broadcasters, John, because you got a lot of fun things to do when teams are scoring, when your team is scoring in particular. Thanks so much for joining us today. You look great. continued good fortune with the battle, and embrace tonight because you know what? You're a special guy amongst our hockey family here, and boy, oh boy, the fans love you down there. Special night with Hockey Fights Cancer Night. Thanks so much for the time, and have fun tonight.
Well, it's really nice of you to say, EJ. Thanks very much, and thanks, Dave, too. Thanks for having me.
All right, there he is, John Walton, the play-by-play voice on the radio for the Washington Capitals. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the Rangers continuing their road swing in Western Canada. They take on the Flames. Shesterkin versus Wolf. I like that matchup tonight, Dave Reed. That's next on First Shift. Out in Calgary tonight, Flames hosting the New York Rangers, who continue on a Western Canadian road trip. They also stopped in Seattle, across the border, back in the U.S., and they've been good on the road, 7-1 this year, and you can see the season comparison between these two clubs. Flames have been a surprise this year, and a happy surprise thus far, and part of that is their goaltender, Dustin Wolf. It'll be Wolf and Shesterkin tonight. So Shesterkin, we all know what he's about. And then Dustin Wolf has had a great season this year. They've given that job to basically him and Vladar, but he's kind of taken the net right now as his third straight start. You can see the numbers, Reader, .925 save percentage. And this is a kid that everybody has been kind of wondering, can he play at the high level in the NHL that he showed in the American League and also in his junior play, because he was a high-end player in the Western Hockey League and then also in the American League. Now he's getting a chance and he's getting it done.
It is so difficult for a young goaltender to come in and be successful in the National Hockey League because if you have just an average game, all right, kid's not ready. And you can't have a young goaltender as a number two because he's not going to play. Yeah. So the number two goaltender, your best goaltender in your organization, is usually going to be your starter in the American League for a few years to get those professional games under his belt, to get the shots. It's not as though, the North American goaltenders, they're not playing in Europe, where in Europe you can play in top leagues in Europe, you can play in the men's league, but you still need to be the number one. And the number one for a young goaltender in North America is to play in the American League. Yeah. And for Dustin Wolf, everybody in Calgary has known that this young guy is going to be good. This young guy needs to play. There's no use sitting playing behind a Markstrom or a Vladar when Markstrom's out or Vladar's out. It's no use sitting on the bench going, this guy's our next guy. It's not as though you're a second-line player and you're not getting first-unit power play. You're getting second-unit power play. There's no second-unit goaltending. Yeah. Either you're in or you're not.
No. You're
and
right.
For Dustin Wolf, he's gotten the opportunity to show us you're going to be the number one. The consistency, the save percentage over 920, that's consistency. That's exactly what this team has. And this team has been playing well defensively, and this is not a playoff team. Nobody expected the Calgary Flames to be even close to a playoff position. They're more in that rebuilding year. Yeah. They're a good team that competes hard. But when you look at this game tonight against the Rangers, the goals for both teams, the Rangers are 1 goal more per game. Yeah. It's not 0.25, 0.3,
and that's a lot, right?
People
are listening. Well, they got 1 goal.
No,
that's a lot in hockey.
It is a lot, and when you're looking at stats, that is something for Calgary. They're going to be challenged to score. You need goaltending, and that's exactly what they're getting. And on the road for the Rangers, they're even better at 4.38.
Yeah,
that's over 4 goals a game.
And the power play is zipping along on the road as well. So
and the penalty kill for Calgary is not good. The power play for Calgary is not good. Yet Calgary is 10-6-3, and they're usually at 10-6-3. It's like, well, your special teams must be doing well. They're not. Both their special teams are in the bottom 10 in the National Hockey League, which isn't good. And this will be a test for Calgary against the New York Rangers. Rangers are a good team. They played a very good game in Vancouver. Vancouver had a push, and the Rangers played their game, got the saves when they needed them, and scored a late goal to get the win. This is going to be a challenge for the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, so we will see tonight. Flames and Rangers out at the Saddle Dome. Should be a good one. Coming up, I'm going to talk a little about the Minnesota Wild. They've been playing some great hockey to start the year. They're in Edmonton taking on the Oilers. Kaprizov and company looking to challenge McDavid. That's next on First Shift. coming up Saturday afternoon, NHL Network Showcase presented by BetMGM. The Hawks and the Flyers, Bedard taking on Matvei Michkov, the two best players in the draft from 2023, going head-to-head in the NHL for the very first time. So 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Kevin Weeks and myself on the call. We got the Minnesota Wild tonight in Edmonton taking on the Oilers. That's some high-end star power, McDavid, Kaprizov. Let me just ask you about the Wild, because they're going to be without Zuccarello now. He's out 3 to 4 weeks. That's a hit for them. But they've started off the season 12-3-3. What are you seeing? Why are they playing so well?
MVP.
Yeah.
Kirill Kaprizov.
Wow. That good, huh? That much of a difference.
He has been that good. Now, Matt Boldy's been playing really well. Marco Rossi's been great. And Zuccarello is out. He's been playing great as well. And also goaltending. Goaltending has been sensational. Got to double check. 926. I thought it was 927. 926
Pretty
save
good
percentage. So when you've got excellent goaltending and you've got a team that gets the lead early, they went through 6 games that they didn't trail for the longest time.
That's right.
They get a lead early and they keep the pace of the game going. They are a team that pushes from start to finish. They play any type of game you want to play. If you want to play the speed game, but it's really Kirill Kaprizov. He's the energy that he brings, the skill level that he's got. He makes everybody around him better. He is almost impossible to stop and to slow down. If you're going to, chances are you're going to take a penalty. They believe in themselves. They're playing with a lot of jump. They're playing on their toes. And I think it's because Kirill Kaprizov, one player, can really make that difference. And he's got a very good surrounding cast. This isn't a one-player team. But when you've got one of the best players in the game and he shows up night after night, there's a reason he's battling for the Art Ross. I mean, it's the same thing. You can look at McKinnon. Kucherov is on his game. McDavid when he's on his game. This is going to be a fun, fast-paced game. Both Edmonton and Minnesota want to play fast. They enjoy playing fast, and they've got the skill to play fast. I give the edge to Minnesota in this one, though. They've got more depth of scoring. They can score through the lineup. Right now, the Edmonton Oilers are scoring with 2 players. They scored the other night, I think they had 4 goals. They had 5 guys involved in 4 goals. They ended up getting a 5th goal. I think RNH got a goal.
Against
but in their first 4 goals in that win, they had 5 players get a point in those 4 goals.
Yeah, need more.
It's the same guys all the time.
Need more.
Yeah.
Need more. Shout out to John Hines doing a great job behind the bench in Minnesota as well. And a shout out to Dave Reed. Your first shift is over. Go back to the bench, get some rest. We'll be back to you at some point. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Benched already.